Good morning, my fellow geography buffs, and welcome back to the channel. This is Ali Qureshi from Urban Atlas, and today I want to talk to you guys about roads. Specifically, I want to talk about the most isolated and remote roads in Canada. Now, I previously did a video on this about a week ago, and due to popular demand, I'm going to do part 2. Many people commented in that video that you guys wanted to see more roads that were extremely isolated and remote in Canada. So here we go. Here is part 2 of the most remote and isolated roads in all of Canada. Just to recap, in the first part, we talked about 3 roads, which were the Labrador Coastal Highway, which is part of the Trans-Labrador Highway, and we talked about the Trans-Taiga Highway, and the third road was the Anticosti Island Road. So for this video, the first highway we're going to talk about is the Dempster Highway. Stretching over 800 kilometers from Dawson City in the Yukon to Inuvik in the Northwest Territories, this highway also now includes an extension all the way to Tuktoyaktuk on the Arctic Ocean. And the Dempster Highway is more than just a road. It is a journey into the heart of the Canadian tundra. Now, this road was constructed in the 1950s and the 1960s. The Dempster was built to provide year-round access to Canada's Arctic regions. And the highway was named after an RCMP officer by the name of William Dempster, who once patrolled these very regions. Now, embarking on the Dempster is unlike any other road trip. Here, preparation isn't just recommended, it's essential. With only a few service stations along its entire length, travelers must be self-reliant on the Dempster Highway. Now, the Dempster is a predominantly gravel road, winding through mountain ranges, across rivers, and over areas of permafrost. And it must be noted that there is no cell reception across the majority of the highway. However, if you do drive this highway, you're going to see some unparalleled beauty. From the jagged peaks of the Tombstone Territorial Park to the endless Arctic tundra, the landscapes here are as diverse as they are remote. And sightings of caribou, bear, foxes, and wolves are common, reminding travelers that they are guests in this vast wilderness. And one of the Dempster's milestones is the crossing of the Arctic Circle, a line very few roads cross. And here, the sun doesn't set in summer and barely ever rises in the winter, emphasizing the highway's extreme latitude. However, the beauty of the Dempster is not without its challenges. Sharp shale can puncture tires, sudden weather changes can render sections absolutely impossible, and in spring, melting ice turns part of the road into muddy traps. However, my favorite part about the Dempster Highway is the fact that now you can drive all the way up to Tuktoyaktuk on the Arctic Ocean, meaning you can actually drive from anywhere in Canada all the way to the Arctic Ocean using the Dempster Highway. And of course, this is the only road in Canada that goes all the way to the Arctic Ocean. And thus, the Dempster Highway is more than just a road, it's more like an odyssey through isolation and a testament to human resilience. For our next road, we just head slightly south to the Canol Road, also in Yukon. Now, the Canol Road is one of Canada's most historic and isolated roads, with a unique past tied to World War II. You see, this road was constructed during World War II as part of the Canol Project, which was a joint US-Canadian effort to transport oil from Norman Wells in the Northwest Territories to a refinery in Whitehorse, Yukon. The road was intended to support the Allied war effort by providing a secure domestic source of oil. Construction of this road began back in 1942 and was completed rapidly due to the wartime urgency at that period. However, the road and pipeline were abandoned shortly after the war ended in 1945, as the project deemed too costly and the need for oil had diminished because the war had ended. So the Canol Road stretches approximately 449 kilometers, starting near Johnson's Crossing on the Alaska Highway and ending near the Northwest Territories border. Now, there was an extension of the Canol Road all the way to Norman Wells, like I mentioned previously. However, this section of this road that is in the Northwest Territories is not actually maintained by the territory. So, for the purpose of this video, we will not be including the Canol Heritage Trail in our list of the most remote roads. We will just be sticking with the Canol Road that is in the Yukon. But just for curiosity's sake, imagine for a second that the Canol Heritage Trail was still a functioning highway. This road would actually go through the Mackenzie Mountains of the Northwest Territories, one of the most rugged and beautiful mountain chains in all of Canada. and also home to Canada's epic Nahanni National Park, as well as Mount Nirvana, which is the highest mountain in the Northwest Territories. Imagine for a second that this road was still active. In my opinion, this road would have been one of the most beautiful roads in all of Canada, rivaling the great roads that we have here like the Icefields Parkway and the Sea to Sky Highway. Anyway, back to the Canol Road. So this road traverses some of the most rugged and remote landscapes we have here in Canada. This includes mountain ranges, deep river valleys, as well as dense forests. Today, the Canol Road is divided into two sections, the South Canol Road and the North Canol Road. So the South Canol Road is approximately 230 kilometers long. It starts around the Johnson's Crossing and heads to Ross River. This section is quite accessible and maintained in summer, but still remains a little bit rough and remote. Now the northern section is the much more isolated and remote section. This section heads all the way to the Northwest Territories, and it's much less maintained and much more difficult to travel, often requiring a 4x4 vehicle. It extends from Ross River all the way to the Northwest Territories border, and the road eventually fades into a trail beyond the border, making it impassable for regular vehicles. Now, despite its isolation, the Canol Road is popular among adventure tourists, especially those interested in off-roading. And of course, the road provides stunning views of the untouched wilderness, as well as remnants of the original pipeline infrastructure that can still be seen along the route. And as you can imagine, the area is rich in wildlife, including caribou, bears, wolves, and moose. The road passes through remote, pristine habitats that are rarely ever disturbed by human activity. Now, because of its isolation, driving this route can be challenging. Travelers are advised to carry extra fuel and emergency supplies due to the remoteness of the road. Satellite phones are also recommended as there is no cell service along this route. Now, along the route, you may come across some abandoned buildings, vehicles, and other artifacts from the original Canol project dating back to the 1940s. These sites offer a glimpse into the challenges faced by the workers who built the road under these harsh conditions. Okay, so now we leave northern Canada and Yukon and we head all the way east to Quebec to find another extremely remote and isolated road. This is Highway 389 in Quebec, and it's one of the most remote and challenging roads in the entire province. Known for its rugged terrain and isolation, Highway 389 in Quebec is approximately 567 kilometers long. Highway 389 starts in Baie-Comeau, which is a town located on the north shore of the St. Lawrence River, and continues on northeast all the way to the border with Labrador, where it connects to the Trans-Labrador Highway, which is a road that we discussed in part 1 of this video. Now, this highway passes through the boreal forest and mountainous terrain of the Côte Nord region. It features dramatic landscapes including deep valleys, large lakes, and winding rivers. The scenery is both beautiful and intimidating, with long stretches of wilderness and little sign of human habitation. Now, the road is a mix of paved and gravel sections with many parts in rough condition. This includes sharp curves, steep grades, and narrow passages, making driving here quite challenging, especially for those who are unfamiliar with these conditions. Now, the drive includes some notable sections, such as the Manic 5 Dam, which is one of the famous landmarks along Highway 389. The Manic 5 Dam is the world's largest multiple-arched buttress dam. The road passes right by this massive hydroelectric structure, which is part of the Hydro-Quebec's Manicouagan complex. The dam itself is an engineering marvel and a popular stop-off point for many travelers. Here you can find food, lodging, and gasoline. Another notable section is the ghost town of Gagnon. Now, this was a small town, but was closed and largely dismantled in 1985 by the mining company who owned it. Now, if you're willing to take this drive, just know that the northbound route is used by logging trucks returning empty. They can travel very fast. For your safety, pull off to the side where it's safe to do so. Cell phone service is extremely limited along this route, so it's best to have other forms of communication on you if you do plan on traveling this route. And like I previously mentioned, Highway 389 is one of the most isolated highways in Quebec. There's few towns or settlements along the route, with Fremont being the only significant community near the northern end. Because of this isolation, travelers need to be well prepared, carrying extra fuel, food, and emergency supplies. This road is strategically and economically quite important. The road serves the hydroelectric power industry, providing access to several of Hydro-Quebec's dams and power stations. The road was originally built to support the construction and maintenance of these facilities. And like the other roads mentioned in this video, Highway 389 is popular with adventure tourists, particularly motorcyclists, cyclists, as well as off-road enthusiasts. And the main challenges here is the fact that the road is often in need of repairs and conditions can vary greatly depending on the time of year and weather events. And given that the road's extremely isolated, accidents and breakdowns can be quite dangerous and serious. Emergency services are limited and it may take considerable time for help to arrive, making it essential for travelers to be self-reliant if you do plan on taking this road. So in conclusion, Highway 389 is a road that demands respect and preparation, but rewards those who take the journey with stunning natural beauty and a sense of true adventure. And there you have it. Those are 3 more of Canada's remote and isolated roads. If you like content like this, do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Just know that if you subscribe, it helps me stay motivated to continue making awesome and interesting videos like this one. So if you like the video, please subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.